You're watching the MMA Junkie Radio pre-show. I'm Goz. That's George. That's Dan Tom. That's Stitch Duran. The voice you hear in your head, that's Danny Okers. How's everybody doing?
We're great. We're great, yeah. Hi, Danny.
There's a fly in the studio right now. That never, ever, ever happens.
I know. Surprised me.
I hate flies, you guys.
Is this Danny on the line?
That's Danny.
It is Danny.
What's up,
hey,
brother?
Stitch.
Hey, man.
How's it going?
We're back.
Yeah, that fly. It bumped into me a few times.
You think I could get it?
Do flies go after... have you ever noticed...
You know, it's all angles goes.
I don't worry about it because I guess they're attracted to shit, so I should be good, but I don't know.
I hope it flies up to you right after you say that.
You really just tried to reach for it?
Yeah, I've
I
caught
didn't
one
see
before.
it.
It was right here on the corner.
Oh, wow. Want to get that baseball bat and take it to it? That's your style, isn't it? That one in the back?
Yeah.
This guy.
Like Paulie from
Louisville
Rocky.
Slur I mean, Goz does not
You know
care
when he
if
gets mad?
it costs him his laptop.
There's sometimes like a spider will be up on the wall or something.
I can see that backfiring.
I'll take like a magazine and bash it, right?
Yeah.
Until it leaves like a mark on the wall.
I've done it.
But my whole thing is now I don't have to worry about him. He dead. Never has to bother me again. There's a little bit of cleanup involved, but whatever. He's dead. He doesn't like that because he thinks that I could be like a little bit more tactful and I don't know if he wants me to track him down or take him in for
Put him in a
questioning
cage.
or what. But yeah, he's never liked that. That's why he said, "Wouldn't you like to take the bat to it if you could?"
So you don't like violence on...
No, because
insects.
all I do is just grab like a napkin,
Yeah.
and I just go like...
Coming up in a minute.
Like, this is the wall, I just go like this. And you can see it. And then
And
if
then
I
you
want
push
to really be like heinous or whatever, I can squeeze it and feel its guts, but I just grab it and put them in the toilet and flush them. And
But
that's
what
it.
if he gets away? That's my thing. I can't live knowing that the spider is still in the house.
But you've missed
and-
before, though.
But his whole thing
And then
is
the
he
spider
wants
takes
to
off.
bite me and eat me, and I just can't. I can't fall asleep knowing that he's out there just wait. He's literally going like this. He's asleep.
You got to buy
Go bite
geckos.
him.
Coming up at 30.
Geckos?
Yeah, geckos.
Then I got to worry about the geckos.
I don't think they do anything to humans.
Golly gump.
Geckos?
I don't think so.
It still
Yeah, I don't
scare
think
me.
geckos do anything. Why? They're just trying to sell you car
Or
insurance.
if I step on him or something.
That was funny.
Well, I guess when I'm
I heard
missed,
Stitch
then
laugh.
maybe I won't believe as much in my theory, but Goz is like, the guts splatter everywhere. It's not just the wall, like, they splatter everywhere.
All right, guys, coming up. Stand by.
You know, when I was in Thailand, the geckos used to go, I swear.
What?
Yeah.
Were you taking anything in Thailand?
No, we're
This
laughing.
is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goz. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goz.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George, with me as always is the devious and dastardly Goz, Ari's co-host. To my left, Dan Tom, the fight analyst. Back east producing as always, it's Danny Otto, and of course our special co-host for the day, boxing and MMA and bare-knuckle and Muay Thai. The list goes on and on. He is a cutman, a legendary cutman in all of the combat sports, an actor, an author, a great dude, Stitch Duran. What's up, Stitch? How you doing?
Well, what an introduction, bro. Can we do a repeat on that, Dan? Come on, I like that. No, thanks, man. It's good to be here. It's been a while. and it's nice to come here and just shoot the shit with you guys. But I got to leave like at 11 o'clock. Got another interview with Joe Cortez.
Okay.
So I already got a book.
Is he the one that's firm but fair?
He's fair, but he's firm. Yeah, fair, but infirm. Yeah, fair. But, and he's the one that called me to do the Rocky movie, Balboa. And at that time, I had a world title fight in Paris, France, and then a big fight in London. So I told him no. And I told my wife that they invited me, and I said no. And she goes, "Are you crazy? You have to do it. Rocky's an American icon." And I called him back and said, "Joe, can I
My
get that
bad.
spot?" My bad.
I misspoke.
Yeah, exactly. So he hooked me up on that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. What were those fights, by the way, that you were foregoing?
What do you mean?
The one in Paris, France, and London.
Oh yeah, Fabrice Tiozo. He was the cruiserweight champion of the world from France. I used to go up there and train him for 3 fights, and then I had a job, so I couldn't do it. So I just worked as a cutman. But he was here a couple of weeks ago, so we spent some time. And then the week after in London was Audley Harrison. Harris, he had the heavyweight that had won a gold medal for England during the Olympics, and so I was literally on the computer letting them know Audley Harrison, going through the details, what, where, when, how much, and all that. And man, I put it on hold for about 30 minutes, and I thought, and I deleted it, and I said, man, between our last conversation and now, I just got an offer to do, be in the Balboa movie, and they understood,
That's cool.
And it turns out that Fabrice Tiozo's fight got canceled anyway. So,
wow.
Follow the advice of your wife, man.
Good stuff.
That one paid off.
Hey, would it have mattered what role you played in Rocky Balboa? Like, if you would have got to set and they go, "You're playing a mailman," would you
I
been pissed or just happy you were in
No,
the movie?
if it was a cop,
Yeah.
if it was a terrorist, if it was a drug dealer in a Rocky movie, I would have jumped on it.
What was his drug dealer name again? Do you remember?
Me? I had a drug dealer name?
Remember when we were doing
Oh, yeah.
El Chapo, and we were trying to come up with a nickname for you? We came up with a good one. Do you remember?
Navaja or cuchillo or something like. What the hell was it, man?
El Terrible?
Did it have to do with sweat?
Yeah.
Sweat?
Had to do with violence.
I don't know. I'll remember it, though.
When was this?
Probably the last time he was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were
Okay,
coming
what
up
were your
with
guys' names?
I can't remember.
La Barba? Was that La Barba?
La Barba. That's what it
La
said.
Barba.
La Barba. Yeah.
The beard, for those
So
that
I'd
don't
have- I'd
understand.
have to always-
Yeah, that's
And
right.
then before you would off
That's
someone,
right.
you always go like this.
Yeah. That's your role, man.
That damn fly.
I
It won't go away. There,
I-
it's back there somewhere.
I feel like this conversation I feel like it was almost a year ago, because it was almost a year ago from the JBLE trip that we all went on together, about September 6th, I
You
want to
haven't
say
been
the
here in
date
a year?
is, so.
Nah.
No, he's been here since, but I remember
Oh.
because during that you were on that remember you were on the big Narcos and
Right.
all the
That was
gangster.
a-
You were on a
yeah.
kick. You were watching everything you could, so we were
And so
talking
was
about
I,
that a
yeah.
lot. Yeah, that's right.
Let's
yeah.
catch up on that.
I haven't seen it, man. At
all?
No, just telling my wife.
Wait, you haven't even seen Narcos 1?
No. Oh, yes. No, I've seen them. I ran through the whole series.
Series 1, seasons 1, 2, and 3?
God, I don't know. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Maybe
Yeah.
so. I'll take
What
a look.
about Chapo?
Yeah, Sobreviviendo Chapo or Surviving Chapo.
Well, that's the one with 60 episodes.
yeah,
Did you get through that one?
Every one of them.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, I went through a binge, man.
What about just Chapo? The other one was
you know
called
what?
Surviving Escobar.
Yeah, Surviving.
What
Escobar.
about
That was
just
great.
Chapo?
You know what? I'm going to have to go back and check. I don't know if I've seen them all.
They just dropped a recent season, and I binged watched that one.
Yeah.
And now Goes released or told us that Ozark was released.
I also
Which-
released it.
Huh?
I also released it.
Yeah.
I went through the whole season
You already did?
this weekend. Yeah.
And?
It's good. If you like season 1, you'll like season 2.
Someone else just
Right.
told me. My other friend Brian told me to watch Ozark. Get on Ozark as well.
You would like it.
Okay.
You would like it as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what that
think
means,
so.
but all right.
You've seen Ozark?
I think I saw one episode before.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's when the family leaves and they're. Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty good.
All right. What was your latest gig, Stitch?
Last week, the Professional Fight League.
Oh, okay.
And then the week before, I did the Bare-knuckles. And the week before, I did the Professional Fight League in Bellator and so on. I've had a crazy schedule, man.
Mhm. And what about on the boxing side?
Shit, what's the last thing I did with boxing? Well, I'm working boxing. I'm going to, what's the day?
Tuesday.
I'm going to
Thursday.
I'm going to L.A. for boxing. They got that HBO trilogy, and I'm working with this kid from Japan, Ioka. And then next week on the 14th, I go to Fresno. I'm working with Gabe Flores, a young kid that Top Rank signed at 16 years old, young phenom. He's 10-0 now, and he couldn't fight till he was 17. So he's fought and he's been on a win streak and just a good kid, man. Then I come back early that morning and I'm working on Tom Lawford, the manager for Triple G, called me, and he has a young kid that is fighting a 6-rounder from New York.
On that card?
On that card, yeah.
Okay.
So I said, I'm in. You know, it's not a lot of money, but I get to see the fights live. You know, they're just the atmosphere.
When you're done, you get to go back into a seat, or are you backstage?
Nah, they're sold out, man. Yeah. But I prefer the back anyway. But, you know, you kind of walk around, shoot the shit with everybody.
So you'll be in the back?
I'll be in the back, yeah.
Okay. So we've talked plenty of boxing with you as well as PFL and Bellator. I know we have limited time, and if we have time, we'll circle back to that. But tell me about Bare-knuckle. How was that?
It's awesome, man. You know, when I got a call for the first one, the first legal bare-knuckle fight since I think like 1889.
The one in Wyoming?
This is in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Okay.
So, you know, I thought about it. I said, well, bare-knuckles, you know, it sounds bare-knuckles. But I said, well, I'm going to go. You know, I'm going to go and just look at it, evaluate it. If I could help them out, I can. But it was good to get there. Dan Mergliotti was there. Bill Clancy was a top referee out of the East Coast. We were there. So we met with the commission and the promoters. And the commission from Wyoming, surprisingly enough, did a real good job in putting this program together. And we went through the rules, and Dan, myself, and Bill, on some of the things we could see adjustments on, they made the adjustments. But the fights themselves were tremendous. You know, they have a great rule which nobody has implemented, but I think maybe other people ought to look at it. If a fighter, because these guys are getting cut, they're bare knuckles and just going at it, man.
How bare, by the way? There's no tape?
The only thing you could do is put tape on the wrist and on the thumb. Okay. But it has to be obviously away from the knuckles. But it just puro chingazos, bro.
Okay.
You know, and so they get cut. But there's a rule where if, like it happened with Joey Beltran and Tony Lopez, that was a bloody fight. They call timeout. The referee brings the fighter to me and the doctor. I have 30 seconds to work on him to see if he could continue in, you know, he's not at a disadvantage. The doctor will make that evaluation. And if he's good to go, then go at it again. So I think that's a great rule. But the fights were tremendous, man. The fans, they were waiting out there. When we got there 2 hours before the event, fans were already in line in Wyoming.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, wow. So they called me for the second one in Biloxi, Mississippi, and same type of response, man. The fights were real good. So they're doing a good job. I think it's the new sport. People are talking about, you know, the brutality of it, and whether now they're going to have to, you know, whether it's going to create more brain damage than MMA, knees, kicks, boxing, you know, that type of thing. So all that has to be evaluated. But in what they're doing right now, it's a hell of a sport, bro.
You know what I couldn't get past? And it's not that it didn't deter me from watching. It's just hearing that noise again was just the sound that knuckles, your actual hand does when it hits something. I couldn't stop focusing on that noise.
That's not that bad. It's
wow, man.
You know, and as I look at, you know, in history, the fans have always wanted like three things: action, you know, good fights, and blood and knockouts. You know, and fans have always wanted that. You know, so. Surprisingly enough, you know, there's some knockouts, some stoppages. Some go the distance, man. And they're 5 2-minute rounds. So it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. The female's getting down, too.
Oh, man, Beck Rawlings, let me tell you, she's going to be a star in this game. She's going to be a star. No more, she's a doll, right? She's a great girl. I worked with her for Invicta, and she's just a good girl. But, man, she could scrap in this. This game is designed for her. You know, these old Australian, the old guys with the noses like that you'd see in the movies. And, wow. She fights like that, but she's a doll.
Hey, speaking of people it was designed for, we were talking before the show about Chris Lytle. He came on our show before this event, and you were saying he's built for this game, huh?
Of all the ones that I've seen, and there's some good talent. You know, Kendall Grove was there, and Johnny Bedford fought the last one, and there's some boxers that have come in. So there's good skilled fighters, right? But technique-wise, designed for this game is Chris Lytle, man. You know, number one, he has that face of a bare-knuckle fighter, plus he could fight. But then he said he fought in Europe, too. You know, so he had that experience coming in. And one of the things that they have to improve on is sore knuckles. But like I told him, well, you know, now like the old kung fu days of, you know, strength in your hands, you got to hit the bag with just your bare hands and just condition all the tendons and muscles and bones and all that. That's just You know,
Do
so-
push-ups on your knuckles.
Yeah, all of that.
Do you obviously, if you were to take, Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather, you take an MMA fighter and put him in a boxing ring, there's a gap there.
Yeah,
Just
of course. Yeah.
obviously, right?
Yeah.
But bare knuckle boxing, does that gap close just a little bit?
Yeah, and the reason why it was, I guess, the reason why is because it's cool because they got you come to the center of the ring, they got two lines. You toe the line, so they're there. So you and I, the referee's there. You and I are right there, and boom. But you have 2 minutes to perform in that round, so they go at it, man. And then what surprisingly is throughout all my whole career, a ring has always been a square. Well, this is actually a ring, and it's a circle. It's a badass ring. And on the rope that there's a guy that lifts it. It's like on a hydraulic. He'll lift it. I'll go through. We'll go through. And then, and then on the bottom rope, they have another hydraulic. So if you fall, then you hit your head on that, then it'll guide you down, and that's the new age of combat sports, man. It's getting better and better.
Wow. Did you ever see when they arm wrestled and punched each other?
Yeah. I've seen it on video.
So they did that. I don't know. Do you guys remember the Yama Pit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pit. And then there's been tag team fights, and
I've
there's been
seen
6-on-6 fights. And and then Access TV. What did they have? They had 2-on-2, but they were chasing each other, right?
The hip show, right?
Yeah. I always like the M1 one. Did you ever work at M1 event where they have you ever seen they have the hybrid where it's a ring, but then they have the cage mesh on the underneath part of the ring to protect rollouts. So it's kind of like a weird little hybrid. Me too. So you still corner
what I'm
guy.
talking about is the concept of fights. It seems like a lot of attempts have been made, but nothing's catching on. But this bare knuckle, I've heard from people that fought in it and went to it or saw it, or now Stitch has worked it.
Yeah.
And there's been good buzz that's come out of it. Whereas usually an idea gets shot down pretty early.
Yeah,
like,
right.
did you see that bullshit? Whatever.
Yeah.
But this one seems to have like some legs to it.
Yeah, it does. Like I said, it's well orchestrated. The fighters like it. I guess they're getting paid good money. The format is good, and the fights are good, man. They're fun. They're fun to work. It's a cut man's dream, bro.
I imagine.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a cut man's dream, and if I had I'll show you guys during the break.
More tending too, but not less hand wrapping.
Man, that's even the best part of this. I don't have to wrap any hands, so I just work the fights, man.
Would you recommend this kind of a gig for an upcoming cut man or a more veteran cut man?
Oh, no. It's not a place to learn to be a cut man. That was my night's worth of work.
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah,
looks like a crime scene.
Yeah, it's
cleaned up a crime scene there, Stitch.
Yeah, it was a night's worth of work, man. So, but it's fun, and the fighters themselves love it. That's the main thing. They're really into it, and I think you're going to get more fighters that are going to realize that I can do this.
Leonard Garcia told Diego Sanchez that they can settle it there.
Did he already?
Well, yeah. Well, here's what happened. Cowboys went on the Joe Rogan Experience, and he had something to say towards Jackson Wink, his former gym as of right now. One of the owners of the gym, which is Mike Winklejohn, spoke out and said, well, what he said is untrue, or some things he said were untrue, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they've aired out their laundry, and they're just not jiving. Well, Diego Sanchez also made a post, and he said stuff towards Cowboy, like, hey, chill out a little bit. You're calling out our wrestling coach. Yeah, we're cool and all, but maybe we're not cool going forward. You haven't exactly been the best team member. I'm paraphrasing a lot of this, but I think I'm getting most of it right, the gist. And so then Leonard said, hey, man, I've seen what's happening here. It sucks because that was my gym. Cowboy's my teammate. Diego, I was down for you. Blah, blah, blah. But, I'm always going to side with Cowboy. And if this thing goes on, we could always settle it. And he put the tag on Instagram. And I'm reading this in the morning, man. I'm just like, what is all this about? I clicked the link to figure out what it is, and it was the bare knuckle.
No shit.
Yeah, so it was a call out of a former MMA fighter to a current MMA fighter of how they can solve it in the bare knuckle.
And I think that's
ring.
great.
Yeah,
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you ever, I'm sure you get offered a lot of jobs, but the one thing that I noticed that whenever I see your face pop up is I believe if I see you there, it gives whatever I'm looking at credibility. Have you ever felt that people obviously you're a great cut man, you're great at what you do, but sometimes also seek out that credibility that comes with you?
Yeah, well, actually, you know, the professional fight league, Carlos Silva was saying, you know, Stitch, every time you're here, I just feel so much better. You know, and that's the president of the professional fight league, or CEO. But even the guys from Dave Feldman from Bare-Knuckle Fights, you know, thanks for being here, and you know, it's important for us to have you here and all that stuff. So yeah, it's nice to get recognized and knowing that, you know, what I love to do, these guys appreciate it.
You shared a story back at Madison Square Garden when you were first starting out. A cut man there, he didn't really want to show you anything, or he kind of blew you off a little bit.
Yeah, Vladimir Klitschko was fighting, and I get into the dressing room, and I got my bag, and I sit it down, and I get on my knees, and I'm opening up my bag and getting my stuff out, and this old Puerto Rican man behind me, I don't even know who he was till this day, he says, New York is my town, Los Angeles is your town. And I'm like this, and I turn around and I look at him. I said, I'm from Las Vegas, you know. But then I'm thinking, so who is this man? You know, he thinks I'm trying to piss on his parade or something like that, you know. Never saw him after that.
Have things gotten better in that regard? I know it seems like to me, anybody who's ever come to you for advice or anything, you've always been pretty good about directing them in a certain direction to get better at what they do. Have things gotten better like that?
Oh, man, you know, it's gives me a lot of pride when guys come up. Like it happened at PFL, one of the guys says, hey, man, it happens all the time. I've been studying your videos. I study your videos before I go rapping hands. I look at it again, and, you know, thanks, man. Can you check out my raps? And, you know, so I know that I've given back on the educational part, and these guys are picking up on that. You know, it's like that guy when I started being a cut man, going back when I was in the Bay Area. He did a good job on some cuts, and I said, hey, man, you know, I'm trying to be a cut man. Can you tell me what you do? What you did? And he says, fuck you. He goes, I'm taking this to my grave, and you got to learn like me, and took off. You know, those days, and I never wanted to be like him. So that was that just kind of verified what I wanted to do. And now I go back, and the guy wants to take pictures with me, him and his son.
Oh, really?
Oh, so you remember his face and everything?
Yeah, of course. I know.
Have you ever reminded him of that story?
No, never. He threw his name out. He know. I mean, no, he don't know. Listen, he's already taking pictures, but I know he don't remember, but I do. You know,
and the Puerto Rican guy, it ended at that?
Yeah, that was it. I turned around, he was gone.
Huh, okay.
New York is my town, L.A. is your town.
Speaking of territories on hand wrapping, but maybe from a different aspect, I know you shared stories on this show before where there were special occasions, especially like main events, where you did both fighters, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I guess how often was that? And also, I guess the second part to that, could I guess a main event that maybe you did that for?
I did them often.
Often,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a high percentage here. So if I guess maybe a Benson Henderson versus Gilbert Melendez title fight, was that a fight where you did both guys?
I highly could have, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I've did Cain Velasquez and Brock Lesnar. I've did Anderson Silva with, it happened all the time.
Wow.
All the time, you know. And to me, it's an honor, you know. And the time Matt Serra fought GSP. When
Houston,
when he
or the second one,
when he won the title. Well, when he won the title, so he had me on the list to wrap his hands, and I'm working the fights, and Burt Watson comes and says, "Hey, Matt wants you to work, wrap his hands." I said, "Burt, I'm here." So he goes back, and Burt comes again and said, "Look, man, Matt says he's not going out unless you wrap his hands." So guy came to replace me. I wanted to wrap his hands. He went over there and knocked out GSP, and that's part of our history together, man.
One question that you get, or that you give, the tap out or knockout rap. Do you remember one that surprised you an answer where maybe even Matt Serra, where you would think maybe grappling, but he said, give me the knockout? Anyone that ever stood out that you said, what?
Yeah, there was so many. That's a good one. I'm going to have to go back in my memory banks and see who I know could crack, but wanted a tap out rap. Is what you're asking.
Yeah,
or the reverse. Frank Mir
and Maya, give me the knockout rap, something like that.
Yeah, that's too
Frank Mir,
but not going the other way, just from knockout to rap. I think we heard a story and it had to do with Frank Mir, but we were expecting him to have the tap out rap because he's a submission guy. But I think he had developed some hands and he went for the knockout. I think, but that's. And then but you have told us the one about. I just forgot it was Matt Serra, but you have told us that Burt Watson summoned you and.
Yeah,
and it took that was for UFC 68 in Houston, Texas.
Wow.
With Matt Serra and GSP, because you said it was when Matt Serra won the title.
Yes.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
so that's pretty historical.
No,
actually.
it is. It is. That's something that. And I saw him at the PFL before.
When you see each other, is it like?
Well, there's a bond, man. Yeah, of
you
course.
remember? They remember that?
Well, I'm sure. Of course he remembers it. Of course, because I know I do.
Right.
And I told Bert I'm working. Well, he said he's not coming out, man, till you wrap his hands.
And when you went back there, was there a relief?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
On Matt, like, oh, there he is. Okay, good.
Let's do it. Exactly.
So, did he ever share to you with you why he wanted you specifically? Had he wrapped them all before?
I'd wrapped them before.
Okay.
And in wrapping a fighter's hands, outside of protecting their hands, it's a lot psychological warfare.
Right.
He's getting ready to go to battle, so that confidence level, I see it with these guys all the time, go up. And if that's a boost, then that's a positive. And I think he realized that I got to stick with tradition, man. And Stitch has been wrapping my hands. And this one's an important fight, and I want him to wrap my hands.
There's a few fighters who ask for the bare minimum on the wrap as well, too.
Eddie Wineland.
Where all it just one time around, right? I think it's the bare minimum.
Ben Rothschild.
Rothwell.
Same thing. They don't want nothing. And Johnny Bedford, same thing with him. He wanted light wraps. And, at least with the UFC, you got to at least make the attempt to protect his hands. It's up to him how he wants it.
Have you ever done a whole wrap and have someone went, I don't like it, let's start over?
No, but Little Nogueira, I did the wrap after he cut it here, cut it there, cut it here, cut it there. Man, by the time I finished, it was an abortion. And I said, that's not my style. So after that, when he fought again, I told Rudy, man, I think he wants you to wrap his hands. I said, I'm not going to wrap his hands.
But he was happy with everything you did to it, though.
Well, once I made it an abortion, of course, But a lot of these guys, jiu-jitsu guys, have never really, known the impact of, if they got good hands, then it's important to wrap their hands. And he wasn't that kind of fighter at that time, I guess. Whatever the situation was.
I think you just triggered something, too, but I don't remember if it was Lesnar. But you said Kane and Lesnar. Wasn't it in Anaheim that you guys had to shop for a bigger glove? Well, when was that?
The what?
Didn't you guys have to shop for a bigger glove? I think 4X.
Well, for Brock, yeah.
Was it for Brock or Kane or Carwin or someone?
Well, I think both of them had the same. Yeah, they both.
Somebody had to run and get a bigger glove, right? Or how'd that work?
I don't know if they had to run. I think they were already available. No, what had happened when I'm putting the gloves on, maybe that one, the gloves on Brock, they rip. And Burt Watson says, we only had 2 pair. And he said, man, Stitch, you got to figure something out, man, because we only got 1 more pair. So what I did I saw Vladimir Klitschko's, when they put their gloves on, they'll put Vaseline on the padding and they'll slide the glove in. So that's what I did with Brock, and it went in on the second pair. I kept that glove, both of them, and they're about like this, man. I mean, it's huge. And he signed it for me. I smudged it, but Brock knows and I know.
Wow.
So.
Hey, while we're going back on memory lane, and we brought up Chris Lytle earlier, and more the other side. We're talking about the hand wraps, but maybe the other side of your work, the cuts itself. One of my favorite Chris Lytle fights was 10 years after that, UFC 68. UFC 78, he fought Thiago Alves. Now, I don't know.
New Jersey.
Yeah, and I think Lytle was blue corner, so I don't know if you had him or not, or maybe you weren't working that fight. You tell me. But remember, the doctor stopped it, but it was a great fight, so maybe that was part of it. But a lot of people felt, because the cut, where it wasn't like super deep. It was more off to the side, and they felt like, it was allowed to go in other places. Do you remember that? Does that jog any memories, that fight? No.
Yeah. But if the cut was to the side, and it's important to work with doctors that have been trauma doctors instead of a house doctor or a chiropractor and shit like that, because these guys don't freak out on blood, right? Oh, I've had them, man. I'm telling you. And but if you got a cut on the side and it's not going to interfere when you stop a fight, it's when you give a fight. A fighter is at a disadvantage and getting blood in the eyes, but if it runs to the side.
Just to be clear, I think what you meant was for that particular scenario, the chiropractor wouldn't come in here.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Okay,
No, you've been having them in rings. Shit, I've had this one doctor. He's looking. He says, "Stitch, does he need stitches?" I said, "Yeah, I think he does." And he asked me a couple of times, and then finally he says, "Well, you know what? I'm a heart specialist." I said, "If he had a heart attack, I could handle it, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here, man." So I had to guide him, and sure enough, So.
With the stitches on.
Yeah, no, just let him know. Yeah, he needs stitches, and so I'll take care of the fighter, and just follow my lead. That type of thing.
All right, we gotta take a break. I'm gonna read this on the way out. This is exactly what Leonard Garcia said. He said, "Don't usually say much on social media. Not my cup of tea. Watching all this gym thing at Jackson Wink MMA and at Cowboy Cerrone unfold, it sucked because I saw it build up. I saw it build all the way up and then fall into this mess. I saw at Diego Nightmare Sanchez UFC get on and say things to Cowboy. It didn't sit too well. Here's what I have to say, Diego. I respect you. Always have. I thought you were a little crazy. But hey, we are all a little bit. Let Cowboy and at Platinum Mike Perry handle their business. That's signed and dated. I'm sure they can hash things out without anyone chiming in. If you feel like you have to get involved, then I'm sure at World BKFF would give us free reign to get whatever it is off our chests. Cowboy has a brother that will always be around." That was pretty good, because he sent a message with respect, but also let him know if we have to hash it out.
Let's do it.
And with the correct plugs, like he plugged the right people, so if they retweet or repost, and it's all kind of like out there. He has hashtags, so good for Leonard Garcia.
And they can make some money.
And maybe they can make some money,
and that's the thing. These are the kind of fighters that fit in well within what's going on there.
Yeah.
Could you? That's a main event right there.
Yep. We'll be right back after this break. It's SiriusXM's Fight Nation Channel 93. You're listening to we're MMA Junkie Radio. Oh my God, Mike Rust. We'll be right back.
charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
SiriusXM's The Highway and Ram trucks have your chance to win the all-new Ram 1500. One grand prize winner will drive off in a new Ram 1500 equipped with the best radio on the road and SiriusXM 360XL. It's the newest and most amazing way to experience SiriusXM. For official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/Ram before September 19th. Online entries only. Certain eligibility restrictions apply. See official rules. No purchase necessary to enter or to win. Danny, what's the SiriusXM 360L?
I do not know.
Okay. It must be some added component to how you can listen to your music, I guess, in this Ram 1500. Like, it just seems like a receiver on steroids or something like that, you know?
My guess is it's probably a receiver that can go, like, plug and play from anywhere. Like 360, you can have it anywhere.
Do you know that I actually had a radio, I think it was in a rental, where if you liked the song, you could go back almost like
T-Bo style. Like rewind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you could only do it for, like, about an hour,
yeah,
and then it would erase. And so I'm thinking, I wonder if it could be something like that.
It's possible.
SiriusXM 360L. All right, I'll look it up. John Jones. He says he relishes stripping Daniel Cormier of both of his titles. Do you guys think it's just his way of throwing his name out there, keeping himself relevant?
Well, he's done quite a bit of that, right, in the last week. He's got something going on with Chael now.
That didn't look so bad. He was in Russia.
He was asked a question,
and he asked the question, and he answered it, and he wasn't that far off.
He was.
Chael has lost a lot of those big fights, whereas Connor's smack talk led to him winning most of his big fights. And Chael, he said Chael's, a lot of it is more of like an act. Mm-hmm. You know, like the Nogueira brothers and the banana and the bus. Like you know, I'm telling a story, whereas Connor's is more, you know, truth, you know,
but when you
to the bone.
Whenever you say something, you know if it's gonna come back.
Well,
and
it must have pissed Chael off bad.
He had to have known that, right? I mean,
I don't think John knew Chael was gonna do all that. I don't think so. Really.
I think you have to expect that.
Have you? I mean, but think about how many times people have come at Chael. He's never melted down like that before.
I don't know. When you're a target like John Jones, I think you have to be cognizant of everything you say is going to come back to you, and I just thought it was funny that I would be shocked if John was shocked that Chael said anything. I'd be shocked if Chael didn't say anything.
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
Of course.
You got to know that shit's coming.
But a lot of people have critiqued Chael, and he's never gone off like this, though.
A lot of people aren't John Jones, though.
True. I didn't think what he said was so bad, but check this out. Well, but in this case, John Jones is talking about Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
He relishes taking both titles.
But you're talking about getting your name back out there?
I don't know.
That's probably a good way of doing it. If you can't fight, you got to do it somehow, right?
Yeah.
Huh. Hey, what's the call list number here?
866 522 2846.
522
2846. Yeah. So check this out. I'm going to read you what Chael said, and you guys, I want you to rate it 5 through 10.
Fire
kind of like the NBA dunk contest, right? And I just want you to rate it in terms of, like, was it witty? Was it funny? Was it, you know, did he? I don't know. Yeah. Basically, that's what we're rating here. You know, is the level of the humor. One of the first ones I see is John heard your critique, forgot you were in the business, even as a spectator.
Funny.
Yeah, but 5 to 10.
Oh, 5 to 10.
Like if you were holding up a number, what was that?
8.
8. How about you, Stitch?
Yeah, I'd throw that about an 8. Yeah.
Damn.
That's pretty good.
I'll go 7.
7. Yeah, I'm more like around a 7. 7. All right. Next one is John. Your trash talk about as well as you exchange insurance info after traffic accidents.
10.
That was pretty good.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. I'll go 9. I think there's probably a little level of humor higher than that, but that's pretty damn close. It could be a 10 too. How about you, Stitch?
Yeah, I agree.
I chuckled. So how about you, Dan?
I'll leave room. I'll leave room for just the soul crusher. That's over the line. That's borderline over the line. I don't think that was quite it, but that's good.
You see this worse. So let's go. Continue.
The next one, it says, John, I treasure you. As long as you're around, I look like a clean overachiever.
About
a 3,
6 or a 5.
It's kind of cheesy
because you got to take yourself down as well in that. So
what he's trying to say is, hey, I know I've also popped for some, PEDs, but you're making me look like a clean guy. So I get that. Okay,
it's like when a guy says,
like a Catholic priest.
I know I'm ugly, but this guy. I mean, you kind of have to tear yourself down too. So you can't.
The next one is Jones's career. One big side effect.
Around the same.
Yeah, same 5 for me.
Mm-hmm. The next one. You spend more time on the shelf than a library book, you bum.
That's kindergarten stuff.
A little notch better than what we've been critiquing, so I would give it a 6.
Yeah, I'm still like in the 3s and the 4s, man. It's like little kid stuff,
Yeah, I'll still go with 5 for that one. Yeah.
That's like saying cheaters never win.
Yeah. Your mom's dumb.
Yeah.
Okay. Turn your cell phone off. USADA has GPS tracking.
6, 6.5.
I'm going around 7-ish. 7, 8-ish. It's clever and it's kind of quick, Next one. John Jones, your career took a bump in the road and then you tried to snort it. Now, for the people that don't know, when people want to hit a bump, I guess, in cocaine talk, it's basically snorting. So I think that's what he was trying to say. Your career took a bump in the road and then you tried to snort it. I think he could have worded it different. But I'm going to go with about a 6 or 7 there.
7.5.
I liked it.
Did you?
Sure. I'm dropping 8 or 9.
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
That's a cold shot, though, man.
If I gave the other one a 9, I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a 9. But I will say that these are actually surprising. I thought Chael was gonna come hard in this. I had a little bit of higher expectation. It almost makes me think like if a guy is that good, but he's almost going low. It's like, okay, are you doing it for the points, but you don't want to go too hard because you two have partied and he's got some dirt on you, and if you go past a certain point, then he's we're going there, are we? Well, all right, ace in my back pocket.
I think the problem is he's coming a little late to the party because so many people have trashed John that there's just not that many things you can say that haven't already been said.
The next one is John Jones. I heard you're not allowed at your brother's football games because you tried to snort all the lines off the field.
That's a little higher. I think I'd give that an 8.
Oh my God, really? I thought that was dumb.
I'm going back down. I think he's reaching now. Now he's really just reaching.
I like it because it's a double shot. You're blasting the brother and John.
I suppose, but I think he could have condensed like these 10 into like 3. But he did it so quick, boom, 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 one after the other. You could just tell he was pacing back and forth. He was pissed. How could this guy do this to me?
Exactly.
And then he's just kind of forcing a few of them.
I think he's sitting back just laughing. Yeah. I think he's just sitting there going, all right, and then he just types it away.
Keep in mind, Chael is a master in marketing. So, what might look dumb at this point, like I say, might come on strong later on. So, he's no dummy.
He may be watching this, and I have to imagine his reaction is, got him.
They're talking about.
Yeah,
exactly. But that's an easy way out, though. I've noticed that with a lot of these ultra celebrities in MMA that are outside the sport that fought. It's like when it's convenient, you're talking about me, aren't you? But at the same time, I don't know that that's always true. Yeah. Because then they get mad when you're not fist bumping them and saying good things about them. It's like, hey, we're all in this together. Yeah. You know what I mean? Why are you coming at me like that? And they'll say that about each other.
Sure.
Why are they tearing me down? It was a work. It was a piece. It was a this. It was a shoot. It was It's like, motherfucker, we're just reacting. You know what I mean?
Is it like the argument where it goes, I don't care if they're boo as long, or I don't care if they boo as long as they care. It's like true, but then there's Tim Sylvia, right?
There's a lot of people that don't like the boo. All right, here we go. Let me see. John Jones had the same game plan in and out of the octagon, hit and run.
Got it.
I mean,
with the car.
Yeah. He's undefeated and he destroys guys, so I don't know that he's running too much. I mean, have you really seen that much of John Jones running? I haven't.
No.
But I think that was more of a relationship with him.
Exactly. See, but it doesn't matter because the ending's so strong that most people, like a hardcore like me, would be going, John Jones don't run, but most people would be like, he ran from the accident, so I understand. sometimes it's your audience that you're really playing to.
Had me laughing on the second one.
Yeah. John Jones is celebrating Labor Day like he has every day for the past 3 years by not working.
Well, that's a cold one.
7.
That's good.
That's good. I give those last two. I give those last two a 9.
Yeah, they were good. I agree.
And the I think touching on that traffic incident is where you're going to hit that borderline 10. At least in my book, if you were to you were to make a play like saying something like, oh, you're not scared of fighters, but unless you're unless it's a pregnant lady or a law enforcement, then you're scared of. You worded something clever and you really kind of hit home to be like, ooh, really like that would be
I
like
didn't see a 10, but I did see a couple 9s.
But he's dancing around that topic. I think that's the one topic where you can really probably get Jones the hardest if you're looking to go for cheap heat like this.
I think you just hit set the trap right there, bro.
2 more.
I'd say that.
What's more tainted than John Jones' supplements? Fedor's Pride career.
That's a double whammy.
Yeah, I give that an 8.
Fedor is such a white, pasty lump that John Jones just tried to snort him.
It's not bad. My problem with this, with him coming at Fedor is this: when he had the opportunity to play that card, he shook his hand, and to me, it's like
he should have been a bad guy at that moment.
He should have just been a bad guy all the way around.
Yeah, and Fedor, as he was as he was saying whatever he was saying, I think Fedor was looking in another direction.
Yeah,
right?
he wasn't paying attention.
And then he said, "Oh, what'd he say? Like, no big deal. It just So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Interesting. But now in this case, John Jones, he says he relishes stripping John Jones of both of his titles, so he wants to fight him at light heavyweight and heavyweight. But the problem is, I think he's just going to run out of time. Looks like DC will probably only fight one more time. I mean, it's still early September, but I think he'll probably fight just the Brock Lesnar fight, and then it'll be a wrap. I guess if Brock cannot get into the UFC, cannot get through USADA for whatever reason, and John Jones is back, then him versus John at heavyweight might make sense. I don't know that DC just, if he walks around at 246, why the hell would he want to go back to 205?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, you're the baddest man in the world right now. You just beat the UFC's best champion ever. Why go back to 205 to, especially to do this guy a favor? He's the one that kind of, in your eyes, enhanced his performance, at least in one of the fights, not the other one.
Yeah, make it a catch weight.
Maybe. But at that point, it's a heavyweight bout. Anything over 206 or 205 technically in a title fight.
I think he could, coerce DC in one more fight. Probably most likely a heavyweight. What you guys are saying, but kind of back to your original point.
Because think about John, he'd be a 2-division champion too if he beat DC. But go ahead.
True, but back to your original point about John making these things, trying to stay in the headlines. I think a lot of it is because not just to remind people and promotional reasons, and those all play into it. Sure, that's important, but I think it's that ego, that chip, because right now DC is being able to walk away into the sunset, get everything that John Jones wanted, and DC never even had to beat John Jones for it. In fact, John Jones beat him twice, yet he's the one on the sidelines. DC's the good guy. DC gets the championships, and I think that really bothers him right now. So I think
even if Jones was healthy though, Dan, he wouldn't have had to fight Jones to win the heavyweight title.
True.
That everything that at light heavyweight goes through Jones for sure.
Right.
But through heavyweight, I think that's why DC felt so relieved, was when he beat Stipe, he beat a champion, and now there's no questions, because both times that he got the light heavyweight title, John Jones was out of the picture. You know what I mean? One time he got stripped, and then the other time he got the belt back. Right. And so he would always have to read and hear, oh, but you never beat the incumbent for it. Whereas in this case, it was like, now I've answered that. I am a true UFC champion. I remember hearing that and just going, wow. So it really did bother him with the 205 stuff, even though it was out of his hands.
Right. No,
he actually beat somebody that was legit here.
For sure. Now I agree with that. I'm just saying that maybe it's perhaps more the media putting it on that. Oh, Jones talked about going to heavyweight before and that whole thing, and I think that bothered him. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I think part of it could be a subconscious fear, or maybe it is actual fear of his, that DC might just turn the cold shoulder than him. Because think about this, guys. Sure, you could be, oh, you're a coward, you're not going to fight, and the fans will get on DC again, and maybe they'll start booing him again or whatever. Not that it matters, because his career, like he said, it's going to be over. But riddle me this, guys. Wouldn't that be a more effective punishment for a guy like Jones? Because even if somebody could beat John Jones, I don't know if that would quote-unquote teach John Jones a lesson if John Jones finally got a loss on his record, if that day finally came, not including the Matt Hamill incident, obviously, but if like a legitimate loss came on his record, I don't know if that changes, or that not that anything would change John Jones, but I don't know if that affects John Jones as much as if DC just says, you know what, no, I'm closing the chapter on my terms. You may have those 2 wins, but I'm closing the chapter on my terms. I'm ending my career. Have fun with your career. You have to go gain good faith back with the fans your own way. You can't use me for it no more.
Yeah, so John Jones' book is still open.
Yes.
DC closes his, and John Jones still keeps trying to build chapters.
And I think that's better for Jones' character.
Cormier is John Jones' biggest payday, too.
Yeah.
Make no mistake.
Yeah.
Even if these Dominic Reyeses of the world and everybody else were to come through, hey, John, guess who's waiting for you now? The paycheck would be different. You know what I mean? So he realizes that those are being his biggest nights financially. And then it's obviously, fun to beat up a rival, especially these guys that they hate each other.
Right.
But I think what pissed him off is DC was now able to move on without him.
Mm-hmm.
He beat a decorated heavyweight in Miocic, and then he gets the gift. Think about it, guys. The cake and eat it too. Happy birthday, and you get to eat your whole. And all of a sudden, Brock Lesnar walks in, and Twitter blows up, and John Jones is sitting there going, "Wow, I didn't even get mentioned at all.
I'm better than that guy." What the heck?
Exactly. I beat that guy, and he didn't even mention me, and now he's gonna get that payday. You know what I mean? So that's a couple jabs here and there. All right, let's take this last break. MMA Junkie on Fight Nation Channel 93. That's what you're listening to, and that is legendary boxing and MMA cutman Stitch Duran co-hosting the first hour with us. Stay close. A few more minutes to go.
Let's see. Up, up, down, down, left, right, B-A, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here are George and Goes.
Get the radio channel numbers and a link to listen to your favorite NFL, college football, or Major League Baseball team sent right to your smart device. Just go to SiriusXM.com/sports today and click add to my calendar. Let's talk to Marco in Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco? How you doing?
Marco from Waco. ¿Qué pasa, vatos? On the Vato Stitch.
¿Qué pasó, mi Marcos? My man.
Hey, great decision of instead of going to a boxing match of two guys that I never heard about, go to the movie, do the movie Balboa and the Creed movies, because now you're immortalized on the silver screen now, brother. We're gonna see you forever now.
Yes, sir.
So yeah.
It was actually his wife Charlotte. It was the one that needs to get the credit for that one.
For Balboa, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, real quick, on this Chelsea and John Jones. Last time I checked, John Jones is a snob out of freaking Chelsea on the octagon, so I don't know what is he talking. That is the ultimate slam dunk. John Jones beat him. And one last thing, hey, Stitch only, because you guys are going to give this to me during the week. Stitch.
Yes.
This weekend. Shevchenko, Montaño, and Teal Goodley. Who you got? Peace out.
Okay, we'll see you, Marco.
Oh, I love Shevchenko, Valentina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because, we did that tour together, so we got to do that. And who's the other one?
Woodley versus
Woodley. Yeah.
Darren Till.
I always got to go with Woodley. Yeah.
You going to be watching them this weekend or no?
No, I'll be doing some fights. I got the HBO fight Saturday.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I looked into this, and this 360 XL available is available only in the Dodge Ram 1500. But what it is it's got just like a bigger screen, and it's that's what we thought. It was just kind of like, I guess, the receiver that makes it a more pleasurable listening experience. But again, only available in the Ram 1500. So eventually, hopefully, it'll make it to all the other cars. I wonder why they selected just the one.
Huh.
Just the one. That's a little bizarre.
Ram.
But 360 XL delivers the full lineup of more than 200 channels, while enabling content recommendations on the touchscreen based on listening preferences. So I can't do touchscreen online. This one you can. That's pretty cool. All right. Well, Stitch, sucks we only get you for an hour.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe on another occasion we can have you co-host the whole show.
No, of course. I always do the whole shows, but I had already committed to Joe Cortez. I'm fair, but I'm firm. He has a podcast, so I'm going to wrap his hands according to the way Triple G wraps his and the way Canelo wraps his.
And we have 45 seconds on that, by the way. There is no controversy regarding the stacking wrapping technique.
Well, there was. It started off as controversy with Abe Sanchez making a complaint to the commission that Canelo stacked his wraps, and Bob Bennett asked me what I thought, and I wrapped his hands. I wrapped the hand surgeon's hands, and there was no advantage.
Gotcha.
So the fights are on?
The fights are on, yeah, and you'll be on the undercard, and I'm sure you'll be at that T-Mobile on Fight Night.
Yep.
And it's coming up here, the biggest boxing match of the year, Canelo Alvarez versus Triple G, Part 2. All right, folks, stay close. It's 1 hour down with 1 hour to go. Pearl Gonzalez will be our guest, and she'll be here when we come back after this break. Thank you again, Stitch, and we'll see you next time.
Yes.
Junkie Nation, stay close. We'll be right back.
me to the hip, hip, hopper. You don't stop the rocker to the bang, bang, boogie. Say up, jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Now what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat.
All right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Pearl Gonzalez will join us in about 5-10 minutes. Great to have Stitch here in studio with us. He always brings a lot of energy to the show. He's got a long history in combat sports, especially in MMA. Now, we didn't talk too much, but Creed is still headed towards Creed 2 is headed towards a November release, right? Right around Thanksgiving.
Did you watch the trailer?
I did, yeah.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. And, you know, I think I told you I did see Jay Haran's movie, right? Well, I mean, he's had a part in it, but I almost said the Transporter 2, but the Equalizer 2, I saw that. Andre Arlovsky's in it, Cowboy Cerrone's in it, and Jay Haran's in it. I would say that Jay's is probably the bigger part, not by too much, but he does say a few things. And Cowboy, you can barely recognize that he's in it, but he's in it.
Why can you barely recognize him? Just what he's wearing?
Yeah, he's speaking in another language.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, just like the equivalent of like "give me your money, bitch" or something like that. You know, so I'm sure it's something that they told him, just say this, and he says it over and over because he's assaulting somebody.
Okay.
Let's just say none of them will be in Equalizer 3, so that's that. But it was still cool, man. It was, you know, it's got its corny moments here and there, but I love shit like that. I love those action movies and those fight scenes and things like that. And it was good to see some MMA fighters get some love.
Yeah. You just don't want him to go the route of Oleg Taktarov, or you want him to come back. Oleg doesn't really make it to sequels either.
Right. You talking about Denzel?
No. 15 minutes.
When there's an MMA fighter.
Oh, yeah. They just Oleg.
We Own the Night. You guys see that Oleg Taktarov one?
Is that
so the Joaquin Phoenix and Mark Wahlberg are the brothers in Brooklyn, that squad.
It's got Eva Mendes in it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Great open. Great open.
Yeah, I think I saw the movie and it started off great, but I don't remember feeling towards the end like, oh my god, this is a classic. Anyway, check it out though. I mean, I don't think I gave away a lot of it. There's still a few little interesting side stories within the big plot itself, but check out Equalizer 1, Equalizer 2. I think you'll like it. And I think it'll be something along the lines of what Liam Neeson does. You know, like
Taken.
Let's just keep hammering this thing. As long as we deliver on the action.
I had to see Searching. It's a John Cho. Is
that good?
It's supposed to be good. It's
it's
like
good.
Taken, but it's a non-violent one with an Asian guy. But it's good. Go see it.
You liked it?
No, I don't know. I gotta go see. I still gotta see Crazy Rich Asians, man. I am slacking. I'm not helping my my brothers in arms there. But they both have done well.
Book, right?
Yeah, it's a book, and apparently done well at the box offices. Fair warning, it's more a romantic comedy, so it's not, it's just essentially just like a good romantic comedy, but with Asian people, pretty much. It's like what would the movies that we get shoved down our throat all the time look with a different cast?
Okay.
But apparently it's done really well at the box office and reviews. But Searching with John Cho is supposed to be a good one, non-Asian movie, just an Asian lead in an action movie that has nothing to do with Asian people, which is nice because we can do that too.
I'll wait till the Latin version comes out.
All right, Searching.
Searching.
John Jones, what he said was big goals for a guy that could only achieve them after he finishes getting disciplined for his... No, that's DC to John Jones. John Jones said, I set you up with several attacks to your body. You begin to protect your belly, so I kicked you in your head. But you're right. Somehow a steroid metabolite right before the fight made me smarter. You're the champ. I'll stop dreaming now.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if it shows it, but I just saw a tweet, John Jones tweet. Again, kind of another reason why he's low-key. I think one of the more effective trash talkers, whether your favorite or not. But like he posted a gif of like a two teenage girls street fighting, and there was a smaller girl, and they're actually they kind of did some training because they were like actually feinting and throwing punches and kicks, and the smaller girl throws a feint low to get the other girl to drop her hands, and hits her with a head kick up high and drops her. And John Jones posts it, and he just says, "Must be the steroids." So kind of with what you just read, that kind of coincides with what you just read there, right? So
whatever he ingested could he just have not done that, and there'd be no questions as to who's the greatest?
You know, it's like it's not so much. I've heard this from a couple fighters. Not so much what it does for you come fight night. It's what everybody goes through to get to that point. And if you're doing anything that's helping you, where one fighter maybe wishes they didn't have to go into an ice bath for recovery, wishes they could spend more time with their family, whatever that is that you're using as an out to get out of that, that's an advantage.
And before this talk, it was the same thing George just said, but you replace the apples for oranges. Say, okay, I get it. If you really want to say, you want to hold to the technicality that kicking kneecaps and poking in the eyes you can get away with, fine, but you're the baddest fighter in the world with the longest reach, the most athletic, you're smart, you have all these attributes. Why do you got to do that, man? Why do you got to do that? And I think that's what people supporters of his pull their hair out. They're like, why?
Couple times now, too. And it's frustrating to prepare for a fight, and then the other guy doesn't show up. That's happened a few times. Yeah. All right. Let's move on from that, and let's talk to Pearl Gonzalez. I was checking out Invicta because of some ranking talks, the stuff that's going on for this week. And this is their 31st show. I mean, it's
impressive.
It's a while that they've been doing this now. Yeah. They did have that title fight with Jandaroba versus Morandin, and she's now 14-0. So good stuff as always from Invicta. Pearl Gonzalez, she defeated Daiane Firmino via unanimous decision. She got a score of 30-27, 29-28, and 29-27. These were strawweights. Pearl now joins us on the hotline. Hello, Pearl Gonzalez. How are you?
Hello. How are you guys? Thank you for having me on.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for giving us some time here on MMA Junkie Radio. Congratulations on your win this past Saturday at Invicta FC 31.
Yes, thank you.
You're getting a lot of traction, not just from the win, but from your post-fight speech.
Yes.
I
feel a little bad. I swore on there. I was like, oh man, I try really hard to be professional, and it was pretty emotional for me. So I kind of feel bad for swearing, but yeah.
How much of that had been pre-thought out, and how much of that was on the spot?
So I like to think of my post-fight speech, leading into the fight. But this time I couldn't think of the words. I didn't know what I wanted to say. And I think that right before I went out, I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to say. No one's taking anything from me. Like, I work so hard for who I am, and I'll never stop fighting. I'll never stop fighting for my life. I don't care what happens to me, and so that's where that speech came from.
Okay.
If I may, on the speech, the way I analyzed it is sometimes people say things, and sometimes people let things out. And I felt in this particular instance, she was just letting things out. And I think the swearing is what made it so raw.
There you go. Well,
nice. Thank you. I did let some stuff off of my chest. This was by far one of my hardest camps, I think, emotionally, spiritually, I've ever had. So yes, it was definitely a release for me.
Goes is also showing off his psychology degree from UNLV.
I gotta use it at some point, right?
Yeah. But hey, she agrees with you, so you get the W there, Goes.
Cool.
All right. Pearl has now won 3 in a row, and you've got all of these in 2018. So it's been a great year. Is there going to be a 4th fight in 2018? And if so, where do you think this fight should take place? Maybe versus the champ, or you want to start UFC talk again? Where do you feel like you're at right now?
I think that I'd absolutely love another fight. This is my 3rd fight in 5.5 months, which has been pretty amazing. I'm not injured. I am taking the week off as I am forced to do, and then I'll be back in training actually Saturday in New Jersey. But yeah, I want to fight again this year. I'm healthy. I'm just on a roll. I want to stay consistent. Every fight exposes something, challenges me in a different way, brings something new to the table for me to work on. And I am really focused right now on the flyweight division in Invicta. There is no champion there. The title is vacant. And that's where I'm going. I hope that I will get a title shot next. If not, whoever is in front of the title shot, then that's who I want next. UFC is not on my radar right now. I'm solely focused on this gold strap.
Mm-hmm. And you're right, I misspoke. I know you through the UFC as a strawweight, and I mentioned the champ, and I was referencing Jaron Daroba, who fought on the same card as you. But yes, you are at flyweight now. And so, Pearl, are you completely opposed to strawweight? Is flyweight now your permanent division, or do you like to keep your options open?
I like to keep my options open. I'm a really, really light flyweight. I walk around almost near fight weight. I'm about 132 pounds. So it's definitely, I can still make strawweight, and I will when the time is right, when the opportunity is right. But right now, I feel really good at flyweight. I love that I don't have to cut weight, that I can eat to be healthy all camp long. That opens up more training for me. The last few weeks are usually focused on getting the weight off. My training has to slow down because of the caloric deficit. And I'm able to just train all the way through. I don't really have to diet until about 2 weeks out to actually prepare for the cut, which is amazing.
If I may just step out for Pearl Gonzalez talk for just a second. We have a big fight in that division coming up in the UFC, and I just want to know if you could give us a quick prediction on if Nico Montano can hold on to her belt versus Valentina Shevchenko.
Oh, my gosh, this fight is so interesting to me. So, Nico is really, really confident right now, and she's saying all the right things, but Valentina is actually one of my favorite fighters. She's so composed. She's just patient. I love her striking. Her grappling looks really good right now. I feel like Valentina is going to take the belt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're here in Las Vegas, and the odds are astronomical in her favor, and everybody I'm talking to has her winning. But damn, that Nico Montano had a nice run through tough. And I feel like all she's ever done is just prove the doubters wrong. So it was interesting to get your analysis, you being a fellow flyweight. All right, what do you have for Pearl Gonzalez?
Pearl, so I know the goal is to get that belt in Invicta. Do you have a timeline as far as defending the belt? How many times you would want to do that, and what's beyond that?
I think that once I get that strap, I'll be ready to move on, and go on to the next challenge, whether that be possibly, competing at strawweight for a strap at strawweight, or, do I move on to another organization? At some point, I think, though, right now that focus is just on the gold. I obviously want to go after and go back to the UFC and redeem myself there, and I will when the time is right. But I think that as of right now, the sole focus is just getting the belt, attaining the belt.
You've had a couple days now to reflect on your performance, and I know the night of, you weren't too keen on it. I know you said there were a few things that you felt like you could have worked on, but we're all our own worst critic. After watching it and just kind of chilling for a couple days, do you still feel that way? Because I felt like you did great.
I'm not satisfied with that performance. I'm still upset at myself. I've watched the fight now about 10 times, and I know I can do better. The fighter displayed that night compared to the fighter that's in the gym and in her comfort zone, that I just didn't add up to who I truly am. But I'm very grateful for it. I think if I can look at the overall picture, the actual, not just the performance itself, but the weigh-in, the way the card went, how I marketed myself overall, I think that I did great. But if I'm going to solely focus on the performance, I should have finished that fight. I had several opportunities to. I didn't transition very well to the next opportunity to finish. I think that my striking again was not on point that night. My footing, my balance, my range, everything was off in the striking area. So I had to make adjustments there. I'm grateful I got to show a little bit of my Muay Thai clinch. I've been working really hard on my Muay Thai, and so my clinch showed up a little bit, and that was nice, but I feel like I could have created a lot more distance in that fight. It was a close fought fight. I fought it very close. We fought very close, and I could have created more distance to set up my ground and pound, to set up my strikes, my elbows, and just make that fight more devastating and more dominating, and as well as get that finish. I should have got the finish. But, you know, I'm grateful for it. It exposed a lot of things that I need to work on, and so I've just been already in the works of just how can I fix this, how can I get better, how can I improve. So overall, I'm so grateful for the opportunity and the fight itself, but I'm not satisfied with how I performed.
Pearl, the night of the fight afterwards, you were very, well, not just afterwards, but you were very emotional. And I wanted to talk a little bit, not about what happened in the cage, but after you left the cage and you went in the back and you had an opportunity to see your family, you let so many things out, and I'm sure you guys embraced. What do you feel like today? Do you feel a lot better moving forward now?
Oh my gosh, yes. I think that I put a lot of pressure on myself, I think, in this, and it was a tough, like I said, it was a challenging camp. Just losing my dad, I was very close to him. You know, it was him and I growing up most of my life, and to lose him has been really, really tough for me because we are so close. And so I think that this fight was a lot about my dad and you know, just missing him and wanting to feel him. I didn't feel his presence. I didn't feel like I felt his presence this entire camp. And I was like, the night of the fight, I just want to feel him with me. And I did. I felt him. I know he's here with me. The support of my family has been amazing. You know, I also went through what I went through with my dad. And as soon as it was over, the last day, the very next morning, I was on a flight to California and back in training that night. And I kind of have just been just emptying all of my emotion into my training. And that's the only place I really feel free right now, so I kind of obsess there. But, you know, I think that going through this fight, I got to spend some time with my family. I got to talk it out. I got to let out a lot of emotion. Now I'm focusing on healing and allowing myself to focus back on myself in my training, because it was hard. It was hard and it was heavy to carry all of that on top of the training, the fight, you know, the performance and everything that comes with that. So I'm going to allow my dad to rest today. I love him. I know he's with me. I talk to him every day. I will always do that. And I will always honor him through the sport. But it's time for me to pull the focus back on me and to focus on the healing and to becoming the champ.
Good stuff there from Pearl Gonzalez, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. On Twitter, you can follow her at Pearl Gonzalez. Same goes for the Instagram. Check out the Instagram, by the way, because I love the colorful hair, don't care, lead up to Invicta FC 31. And, of course, the pearl necklaces, really, really cool stuff. I love that at Invicta the ladies are allowed to express themselves, you know, that way. All right, Dan Tom, our fight analyst, he's got something for you. Dan, what do you have for Pearl Gonzalez?
Hey, what's up, Pearl? Just want to say first off, big congrats. I watched your fight this weekend. I actually was recording a podcast, but I told my co-host, I'm like, we're gonna have to be watching some Invicta in the background while we start this thing, because I don't want to miss Pearl go to work. So congrats on that and on that post-fight speech. It felt like you were my big sister. Just listening to you, I had to get to keep it together. So very heartfelt, very appreciated that. But back to the fighting, I guess you were talking about training and focusing on yourself, Pearl. I was reminded that this isn't obviously your first camp down there, but I was reminded that you train at 10th Planet San Diego. Obviously, you know, Chicago based. I first stumbled upon you in your fight with Courtney Casey, which was an awesome, entertaining fight. People want to hunt that one down. But you've changed up your training camp quite a bit. What's that been as far as, you know, changing the scenery? And it's a big scenery, and obviously you got great coaches, great training partners that you work with. What's that been like?
Man, it's life-changing. I have 12 girls that train MMA that come in the gym every day that I get the opportunity to work with. I have high-level training partners like Liz Carmouche, Alima McFarlane that I work with on a daily basis and closely with. So it's been amazing to have these. Liz is like a big sister to me, and Alima and I are like very close as well. And so it's been awesome to have the girls there to go through like days where, you know, it's just some days you're just a woman, and you know, women, we're crazy. And so it's cool to like have other women there, and they're like, no, it's okay, you're just crazy today. And we have that big, strong support system along with the training. You know, we have 4 gyms now in San Diego, 4 10th Planets. So we have 4 different places. There's just hungry individuals in there. And I spent a lot of my time at San Diego, 10th Planet San Diego, and at that particular gym, there's 6 jiu-jitsu classes a day alone, on top of all of our MMA and our boxing and the rest of the classes that we have. But there's also a gym down the street that also offers those same classes at another gym at different times. And so you can, I stay in the gym. I get there at 9 a.m. and I leave at 9 p.m. I sleep in my car in between training sessions, and it's amazing. I'm just surrounded by hungry, motivated people all day long, and that has really helped me just own this life, own this lifestyle, want to get better, want to grow, constantly picking someone's mind. I'm like one of the most annoying students they have because I ask 10 questions every single move so that I completely understand it. And I think that the training, the atmosphere alone has just done wonders for me. I'm just focused on myself. I'm focused on the craft and getting better, and that is number one. Everything else comes second, and I think that it's showcasing in my fight.
That's awesome to hear, especially, you know, with that high-level training and just that expansion. I wasn't aware that they had 4 gyms out there, but I'm a martial arts nerd, Pearl, and I was looking through your Instagram, too, as well, and I'm not sure if this was in California or not. Perhaps you can fill me in on the background, but you got a picture here with Danny Asanto, you know, Jeet Kune Do, Filipino martial arts legend, and as well as Ajan Chai, which is, you know, for the Muay Thai Federation, people familiar with that. I mean, these are 2 pretty legendary dudes. What was this all about? What was this experience like?
Oh, my gosh. So I went to Thailand in the beginning of this year in January, and I went to a Thai camp. I wasn't sure whose or what. It happened to be Ajan Chai's, his first camp in Thailand, and it was a 3-week camp, and I met him, and I knew, like, he was just a really amazing Muay Thai man. I didn't know much about him. And 10 minutes after I met him, he was like, he had studied me, he knew who I was, he knew I had just been released from the UFC, and he was like, Pearl, you do pretty good. You work hard, Pearl. Every single day, you're going to be UFC world champion. And I was so blown away by this man. And I was like, oh, my God. And I was still kind of unsure of where I was. And so I ended up having the most amazing camp ever. He took us to temples. He taught me how to pray. He brought in that discipline, you know, where we bow. I bow before I shadow box. You know, you're just very grateful for the opportunity. It taught us the history behind Muay Thai. And it was just such an amazing experience, and ever since then, I have been following Ajan Chai around to as many different seminars that I can go to, and so I had the opportunity of going to Oregon to their annual camp, Muay Thai camp, which is in a park. It's their 50th one. He's been teaching Muay Thai here in America for 50 years this year, and Daiane Firmino is like his, you know, one of his right-hand man. And so he played the drums. We were there from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. training Muay Thai in the park, and Daiane Firmino played the drums. And it was just, gosh, it was amazing to be around these talented, legendary men who were very supportive of me. They congratulated me. They told me that I was working hard. I was doing the right things. And it's just so, oh, God, it's amazing. It's done wonders for my career as well, Ajan Chai and the WTBA. I'm actually going this Saturday to New Jersey. He has a seminar there where I'm going to be training with him again this weekend.
Amazing. Good stuff. Yeah. Again, congratulations on the fight itself. It'd be great to see you one more time in 2018. And I think with that 3-fight win streak you're on, you definitely have to be one of the 2 that they'll be considering for that vacant flyweight title in Invicta. So hopefully you get that. Thank you, Pearl, for the time here on MMA Junkie Radio. You want to say anything to your fans or anybody else that's listening? If there's anything you'd like to cover that we may not have, or just plugs for your sponsors or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. Got to give a shout out to my sponsors: Junior's Bar, For Life, Victory Beef, LLC, Chicago Output Lounge, Finest View, Chicago Midwest made. Thank you guys so much for your support for this camp. It's been amazing. To all of my coaches, my teammates, my head coaches at 10th Planet, San Diego, thank you guys. We put on another good show. I'm ready to get back to work. To my fans who have been so supportive of everything that I'm going through, you guys truly make this worth it. I do this for you guys. I fight for you to inspire you and to hear and feel the love that you guys are giving me back. Tells me I'm doing something right. So thank you guys so much. To MMA Junkie, man, thank you guys for having me on and getting my story out there. I really appreciate your time.
And thank you for your time, Pearl. Nice talking to you.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
There you have it, folks. Pearl Gonzalez, at Pearl Gonzalez on Twitter and Instagram.
Pretty cool.
Seems like a really, really cool
down to earth, right?
Chick,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she's out there whooping asses even makes her more cool.
And she's a good dancer.
It appears so, yeah. She's a fun follow there on Instagram. But she just seems very, very down to earth and very kind to her fans or her coaches and all the people that are around her.
I like that she's not in a rush to get back to the UFC, because if you look at her last 3 fights, she shows improvements in each one. And I think by the way you hear her speak, you can tell that she is working on improving. And I think if she delays that a little bit more and gets these reps, I think she'll come back even stronger.
I had one more question, but I wasn't sure how to word it without just... I thought that was like a fun interview, and I didn't want to end it with like, can you believe that fool asked me, blah, blah, blah. But I wanted to ask her. She's 32 years old, and the one thing we haven't probed as much with women's MMA as we have with men's MMA, like we've asked all the questions with the men for the past 25 years or so, or at least our show, 11 years. But with women's MMA, the one thing I want to know is what's their age for all of a sudden the machine starts slowing down a little bit, like they're built so differently. Like women have more life expectancy, and obviously anybody that's fighting is probably close to like an on target weight when you walk into the doctor's office, whereas even like the big dudes that are in shape, they're like 220, 5'11", for example. You still go to the doctors, it'll say 5'11", you should be 170. Like they're not as close. And so I wonder at what age do they start slowing down? You'd have to get a sample size of asking that so much that you would kind of get familiar. Now, not only that, but with women, some women aspire to have families, and so they want to have like a shorter career because maybe they want to start that. And then others are willing to go have the kid and come back. Like Sarah McMahon right now is currently pregnant with plans to come back. But Juliana Pena left, and it seemed like she had plans to come back, and yet she hasn't come back. And I think her kid is at least a year old, and there's no sign of it. But Kat Zingano's back, and she whoops ass. You know what I mean? So Beck Rawlings was mentioned by Stitch Duran. I think she has a couple kids, and she's doing her thing. But I wonder what 32 means for her and for most women in general.
I would definitely be interested to see what the science is as far as physiologically where their prime is. If we're 28 to 32 supposedly, I definitely would like to see how far off or where they stack up. But I do know one thing. I have heard MMA gamblers and whatnot talk about trends. A lot of trends, obviously, MMA gamblers talk about. But I mean, like as far as women goes, one I have heard pop up, not a popular one, but theory on how well they do after they come back from having a kid. I think that's one that obviously the guys can't ever deal with in their career. So we would never have any clue on what that is. But you hear things like, and it's not picking on women because we do the same thing with men. Like, oh, he had he's having a kid in this camp. This is his first kid. Is that going to affect him in this fight? And then we've heard fighters, even like ones who are tough or not really ones to make excuses, but even admit like, looking back at this fight, this is my first camp with a kid. My head was kind of all over the place. I think Jason Perillo was saying that about BJ Penn with his second fight with GSP, and then a lot of fathers and mothers are like, I have to imagine it's hard to flip that switch and go, I'm a killer, now I'm a parent. I'm a killer, now I'm a parent. It's a weird one to keep hitting that switch.
Well, all week we've been watching Serena Williams, and she's coming back after her first kid. But I looked her up, and I think she's 36, and the older sister I think is 38, and they're still out there performing. And tennis seems pretty grueling because you do it from when you're a kid, kind of like you guys talk about wrestling, until your teens, late teens, where they start. You could be one of those wonder kids until you get into your 20s and have any sort of dominance or not. But this seems like the one sport that we don't have that kind of data yet.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Or at least consistent data. But I'm just curious, and I was gonna ask her because there's a girl named I think Melinda Maverick or someone who was on the same card, and she's 4-1. Some wins were as strawweight, but she fought as a flyweight on the last Invicta FC card, and I'm just wondering, could that be her opponent? Except Melinda's 21 and in school right now. You know what I mean? Pearl's 32. She's obviously 11 years older. Melinda's got time. Does Pearl have time? Or does Pearl plan on fighting until she's 40? Who knows? I don't know. Do women want to do that until they're 40? Who knows?
We hear a lot.
I saw freaking some of the Octagon girls used to leave the sport saying, I don't want to be an Octagon girl into my 30s. And yet now there's some that are doing it at their 30s, and they're making all kinds of bank. And then there's other girls who I wonder if they're regretting ever saying that because they're not making that kind of bank.
It's quality of life. A lot of it just depends on that. You talk about what Pearl was saying, and she doesn't just stay in Chicago. She goes out to San Diego. She goes a lot of places, and think about when you leave home and what that requires out of you. So I think a lot of it is that.
Shoot, a lot of girls, how many times do we hear say, oh, well, I don't know how long I want to fight because I want to eventually have kids. So a lot of them are already putting that as a thing that, no, I can't have that while I'm doing this. Like they've already.
Was it that Macy Barber girl that said that?
I think so. A lot of girls say that, though. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, you're right. We had her on the program.
Really young, and right away she mentioned that. And like if I'm a promoter going, we got to get this girl. And you hear that, you're like, oh, because as much as this country's evolved and people say we got to give women their space. If they want to have a baby, they get 6 weeks before and 6 weeks after, and maybe the male or whatever. Yes, if you're a successful company and you can give those kind of benefits and you can sustain without one of your workers. But in MMA, if you're a promoter and you're fight to fight, and sometimes your promotion depends on that, and you want to hear you hear that, I wonder if that'll stop you from attaching yourself to fighters that constantly say that. That
would suck because that's like that's not even a girl. That's just like a biological. I mean, it is a girl thing if I'm saying it's a biological thing, but that's like a biological hardwiring. I mean, anybody. Let's be honest, guys. Anybody who's dated a girl seriously in her mid-20s or late 20s, they're gonna drop the baby's line or this or that somewhere along the line. I think no matter what the personality is, I think there's just a hardwiring. There's this genetic time ticker that's. I think females are much more in tune with than obviously us males are. We're not really thinking too much, which is, anyways, not going down that road. But you know what I'm saying. So it's like I would hate to see, I would hate to see that be true. What you said, that scenario, because that's kind of in their hardwiring.
Thought that?
Yeah, it's in their hardwiring. They're always going to be bringing that up randomly through an interview. Like, well, I do kind of want to have kids. Like, if you talk to any girl in their mid or late 20s, like for the most part, even ones that maybe say I'm not going to have kids.
Any girl, yes, but fighters. Do fighters really bring that up that much?
I hear it all the times in interviews as like a almost like a non sequitur. They're just like they're always just kind of even just a throwaway line. They're like, yeah, they're talking about their career, but they'll mention kids. But I want to have kids later and stuff. And it's always in the back of their mind, which is not a surprise. Again, fighters or not fighters. I think that's just how. Apologize speaking on behalf of ladies. I think that's just how ladies are wired, right?
I haven't heard it on this show as much. I've heard Macy Barber say it.
They don't get asked very much either, though, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's usually like throwaway lines or non sequiturs if they're mentioning it, but it feels like it's something they mention a lot, though. I don't know.
All right, let's take this break, and then we'll come back and do a run of calls, talk on the latest news. Thank God an embedded dropped. I was like, what the hell's happening here? There's usually embeddeds that come out like on Saturdays or Sundays.
Fighters are taking care of it themselves.
Well, they are, yeah, but still, you kind of want to see it through, the UFC and what's actually current because they turn it over so quickly. But here we are on a Tuesday. And the first one's up on Junkie, so check it out. And we'll be right back. Fight Nation's Channel 93 MMA Junkie Radio Show is what you're listening to.
They were kicked off the set of The Fast and the Furious for being too loud and too good looking. Once again, here's Gorgeous George and Goes.
Little Prince there for y'all. But let me tell you about fantasy football season. It starts Thursday, and the place to hear advice and information from the experts 24 hours a day is Fantasy Sports Radio. Listen for news, injuries, player rankings, and game previews. Plus, hidden gems on the waiver wire your opponents don't know about. Whether you're preparing for your fantasy football draft or you need help setting your lineup, the place to be is Fantasy Sports Radio, Series 210, XM87, streaming on your phone or at home on Sirius XM connected devices and speakers. Let's talk to Jared in Minnesota, and if you want to follow him, it's 866-522-2846. What's up, Jared? How you doing?
Jared.
Hey, what's up, guys? Man, I'm so honored to be on here. Thanks, guys. I just had a couple quick questions. So the fight coming up, Tyron versus Till. I was just wondering what you guys thought, like your predictions, and then about if Till ends up losing, do you guys think he's going to go to middleweight after that?
Yeah, I would have to say that I think his days are pretty much numbered at 170. Even with a win, like I think maybe one title defense, and then I think he's done. He's just a big boy. As far as who we're picking, I'm going to say I'm firmly going with Tyron Woodley, and I think he's going to use his speed, his counterpunching, a little bit of his wrestling to do it, but I don't think he can get it done within the distance. I think it goes to the judges.
I wish Till was more of a distance fighter. He's kind of like a close quarters fighter, at least from what I've seen. And I think like if he was one of those guys that had a little bit more of that movement from the outside, like a Wonder Boy, but with more aggression, then it'd be interesting to see what Woodley would do. He's mid-30s. Is he the explosive wrestler that he was back when he was in college? I know he can cover a lot of ground with his striking, but at the same time, he just doesn't seem to be as aggressive as he used to be. Leg kicks, they're great when he's on, but again, it's there's just less offense. Look at the stats. There's just less offense from Tyron. But that said, he's mind-fucking you the whole time. Mm-hmm. So we kind of broke this down, and I'm sure you'll see it on Junkie. We did our main event breakdown. But you want an answer, and I'll give it to you. I'm leaning towards Tyron Woodley right now. And I think that's pretty much the way it will stay. It's great to see, though, that Till did at least address the weight cut by moving to Vegas for the last month of his camp, working with the pros here. He's miserable, but it sounds like at least the weight cut won't be an issue we have to worry about.
Yeah, just kind of...
It may even be a little bit different with his with trying to cut that much weight. It might affect him, too, in his performance. I guess we'll have to see about that, too.
You nailed it, Jared. Let's be honest. No matter how much 6-inch turkey subs we could give Darren Till, Jared, I don't think Darren Till's going to have a happy camp. Something that Goes touches on in our breakdown. It's going to be dropping on MMA Junkie.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, now I want a turkey sub.
Awesome. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
All right, see you.
All right, take care, guys.
You too, Jared. Thanks for calling in. All right, let's do the daily debate. Y'all ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right. The question for today is, do you agree with John Jones? Who do you think is the better trash talker? Conor McGregor or Chael Sonnen? It's pretty easy, guys. Give me an answer and why.
It's not easy. That's my whole problem. I think Chael is the more clever trash talker. I think outside of the cage, he's the better trash talker. But for what we're talking about, getting into your opponent's head, I think Conor McGregor has had more success doing that than Chael Sonnen has. So I guess to answer this specific question, I'm going to say Conor McGregor, but outside the cage, I think it's Chael Sonnen.
Okay. I'll go a little bit further than that. So I agree pretty much with everything you said. I think Chael's more clever, 365. Throughout the year, he can just be on, whether it's in a suit and holding a mic, broadcasting for ESPN, or if he's calling fights. It can just come out of him at any time. I think he's just banked so much over the years that he can pull out whatever he needs to do. Now, granted, on fight week, he does tend to just center on the opponent, and sometimes there's some great wit, and he can be very clever then, but not to the level of Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor on fight week, or at least at a press conference, he takes this whole thing over. Plus, he's got legions of fans that cheer for whatever he's got to say. So even if we do give him a 5 or a 6 on the joke, it doesn't matter. They all register like 10s. You know what I mean? So on fight week and at press conferences, there's no one else like Conor McGregor. But 365 days of the year, I do appreciate what Chael can do with his podcast on television at Fight Week. It's just two different styles, you know. But I think this is more of an MMA question, and it has to do with wins and losses. And I think that's where Jon Jones was hit. So I say Conor McGregor.
Yeah, it's tough. Two different styles, maybe even two different ways you can kind of approach this question. Personally, I like Chael Sonnen's style of trash talk better, so I guess that's where my vote would be, you know. And maybe a lot of that was early work done. I don't know if he's ever going to top that. The Nogueira, the Nogueira brothers with the feeding the carrot to the buses, but I won't disagree though. I think as far as effective trash talk, I feel like Conor McGregor is definitely the more effective trash talker.
Yeah, and I think that's where Jon Jones was headed, because with Conor McGregor, he's actually made these predictions. They've come true. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what kind of had Chael get pissed off and go on a tweet storm, is because there was some truth to some of what he was saying. There was some big, high-level trash talk, but at the end of the day, it's the other guy getting his hand raised, and I think that's what made Conor McGregor just the more genius, if you will. All right, this is how the audience, Junkie Nation, our readers, our listeners, this is how you voted. 71% of you said Conor McGregor. 29% of you said Chael Sonnen. We had over 2,100 votes registered, so a lot of people chiming in here. And we encourage you on Twitter and when we post these on MMA Junkie to leave your comments so we can see what you're also thinking. And there you have it. There's today's Daily Debate, brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. All right, continuing on here, I want to pop into the YouTube chat just for a second. There's not many people in here that are also giving Nico Montano a shot. Do you give her a shot? And if so, where's her best path to victory, Dan Tom?
Making it ugly and just outworking Shevchenko in every round. You know, Shevchenko's main criticism is she's a counter fighter, and as we've seen, you know, judges don't exactly reward counter fighters that well. Not just in her fight, Stephen Thompson, you know, another southpaw counter fighter. Whereas Montano, you know, she comes from that fit NHB team and really underrated striking there. You know, I think the defense is going to be a problem for Montano, but if she can find a way to make it ugly and kind of put that volume on her, you know, she could probably maybe trick some of these referees into giving her some rounds. You know, she's probably going to need the takedowns, which is probably another hill to climb. Takedowns are a big part of Montano's game, but unfortunately for her, Shevchenko's good at defending, really strong from the clinch. Clinch is kind of Shevchenko's unspoken wheelhouse. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays. But either way, they're two uphill roads, whether you're looking at grappling or striking. It's mixing it both, making it ugly, and just doing more, stealing those rounds.
Do you think Shevchenko just steamrolls, or does Montano have something to offer?
It's nothing against Montano. I think there are very few girls that can stand in front of Valentina and not get steamrolled. Her attack comes from every angle, man. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be bad.
Yeah, and the fact that Valentina doesn't really offer that offensive fireworks show where you can at least GSP someone and time them and get underneath. She is going to have to make it ugly and work her way in, so that she can maybe get some sweeps, some trips off of the cage. I don't think within the center of the octagon there's much of a chance to be had. And the only other thing I can think of is if she outpatients her. I've tried that word.
It ain't gonna work.
It ain't. There's got to be a word for that, right? Can she be just as boring as Valentina can be if she's in counter fight mode? Is what I'm asking.
She can't.
And win the rounds in the last 30 seconds, almost like Till and Wonder Boy. That wasn't an exciting fight. But you can steal 3 rounds.
You can, yeah. I mean, stealing rounds, that's always going to be in play if you want to imply it. But as far as her moving backwards, put it this way, in the fights where she's lost before, and even the fights that she's won, the trouble spots were when her opponents came forward. And some of those opponents weren't the best strikers, and they were able to be pretty effective. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how well that's going to work for her, but the good news about that is Shevchenko, again, more of a counter fighter.
Very patient.
Less willing to be aggressive and come forward, which actually would actually help Shevchenko if she would be aggressive. So there are some interesting folds stylistically.
If Shevchenko's aggressive, she can end this in the first round, man. She's pretty vicious. She just keeps getting even more vicious. And flyweight is a perfect way for her. Let's take this last break. You are listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back, and I'll read more of your YouTube comments there if you want to check it out. It accompanies the show, www.youtube.com/MMA Junkie Video. In the YouTube chat, Yusef Jed, he doesn't give Nico much of a chance. He says, rest in peace.
Damn.
T says, my man Stitch. That was great to have Stitch here. Thanks to Goes for lining up Pearl Gonzalez and Stitch Duran. Juan Ramirez, morning dummies, vatos locos por vida. Hey, did something happen within Big Juan's family?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
You're not sure what happened?
I don't know if we could say, but I think I know.
Okay. Well, I thought I saw something like that, and Junkie Nation was giving them some love. So we hope everything's okay with you, Juan, and your family. Let's see here. T. Hey, Danny. How are you? How was Cali? How was Cali, Danny?
Cali was fun. It went by way too quick, but yeah, it was great.
Jason Ford is asking if you hit the strip. You weren't in Vegas, right?
No, he was talking about like the LA strip with all the music venues and stuff. I told him I really didn't have a lot of time, but I at least saw a little bit. Like I'd have to go back for a couple weeks to really see like everything that I really wanted to see.
Shout out to Knuckle Up 101. He's also in the chat, as is Full-Time MMA. Who is T? Does anybody know who T is?
He's from France.
Oh, okay. LA is so big, it's hard to visit. Ask Howie D and P, his buddy P. They got a tour from Juliet once of LA, and they were just hitting all kinds of different spots. But like Danny says, it is hard to get around. It's hard to get to it all.
I mean, even if you did like all of Hollywood, it'd probably take you a day, and then you still got so much more to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Let's see who else is in the chat. Kate, happy Tuesday. Junkies, how you doing? Danny Olgers. Would that be Kate, the one from
Katie?
No, well, no, I didn't mean the one from Boston. I think there was a young lady in Facebook that had the name Kate as well. We'd always say hi to her. Some people kind of came over from Facebook.
I miss Erica
Mitzelplick, yeah. She's not around?
I saw her comment on something the other day.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Phil Edelstein, shout out to him. MMA Buds, BUDZ. That sounds like a Dan from Morgan or something. And I think, MMA Junkie Chef. I thought it said Chief. I was like, wow, that's Simon's
Sam,
watching?
No?
That is Sam.
Hey.
Sam is in the house. Dr. Lurch. Mar Oka. What is Mar Oka? All right, Marco Oka. DJ Quest 562. We ever find out who that is, guys?
No.
562 is the Long Beach area.
Is it?
So it's a
That's the area code?
It's a Cali person, yeah. Don Piccolo. And I think that does it. All right. Go ahead.
No human moron?
I didn't see the human moron.
No human moron today. I was looking.
Tomorrow we'll have a co-host, and his name is Scott Zur. Scott has worked with promotions like Lion Fight, Victory Fighting. What was the one from Canada with Mark Pavlich? I forgot already. MFC, yeah, he worked with them as well. And he's currently working with Grunt Style. So it'll be fun to talk to him a little bit from just the PR world, get his thoughts on how that works. Maybe pick his brain a little bit more about fighter promotion, which is never a dull topic. And I'm sure we'll have a few more fighters. I believe Curtis Millender was going to be back, so we'll talk to him. And I want to thank Stitch Duran and Pearl Gonzalez for their time. Shout out to Danny. Danny goes for an outstanding job. I, however, took it to another level. I was fantastic. So big shout out to myself. All right, that's it. We are out of here. Go out there and don't just occupy space on this planet, folks. Be a champion.